What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, Salt Train. I'm happy seeing you. This time we're doing a little different kind of thing, a little series of short videos of, 10 minutes or so, where we're actually going to put a Pokemon into the spotlight, talk about it in draft, and just explain. Just trying to show it off a little bit, show what it can do, and maybe make a case for it so that next time you go into your tournament games, and next time you sign up for a draft league, you might consider this Pokemon for your team. Now, today's subject is Staryu, as you can see on screen, and Staryu's been around for a long time. Obviously, it's a Gen 1 Pokemon, pure water type. It's a C-Star. I don't know, that's probably how you say it in English. And it's really strong, and here's why. So I'm just kind of doing I'm not going to do it from top tier and down. I'm just going to do what my flavor of the month is. If there's a Pokemon that's interesting, I might talk about it. Stuff like that. So, Staryu in Little Cup, specifically. Little Cup draft. That's what we're talking about today. Why is it so strong? Well, first of all, it's really fast. So as you can see, I have it already in my builder. Speed is 85 base, which is really high in Little Cup. As you can see here on the speed, it has base speed 15 without any investment in it. It's 15. And the highest speed in the tier in the format to begin with is 20. Unboosted. With before any abilities, before any items or any conditions like that. The highest natural speed is 20, and when you have 15 and you reach all the way with nature as well to 19, you're in a pretty good spot. There's not a lot of mines that hit 19 either. There are some out there. We can kind of just kind of go about it, but that's probably a better format to show that off. But so, point is, 19 is super high when 20 is the absolute highest. 19 is super high, and that comes before a Choice Scarf, which increases holder speed by 1.5 times. So you can already just take 19 times 1.5. If you don't know math like me, then you end up with 28 speed. You would think that this rounds up to 29, but that's not how Pokemon works. You just basically pretend that the dot 5 is not there. So it's just 28. It rounds down. So that's just fast speed, right? So it's really speedy. And then you can see from these base stat, HP is 30, attack is 45, which is not that great. These two stats are not that great, admittedly. But then you have 55 in both defenses. That's really solid before an Eviolite. That's really solid all around. And then 70 base special attack, which is really respectable. And then as I talked about, the speed is really great. So it's really fast, but its primary function is it can be several things, and that's why it's so good in draft, because it can do several things really greatly, or serve several roles pretty greatly. You can slap an Eviolite on here and take those 55 defenses and just slap a 50% boost on them, and then you can also, you see if you have let's say I invest fully in speed, I take minus attack because that's my lowest stat. I'm primarily going to be a special attacker. And see, you have some leftovers here that you can kind of just slot in. You can choose defense, you can choose special defense and get an extra point there, or you can choose HP. So I would definitely run some calculations on that, just because you might want to just check if this gives you a point in special defense or not. Because just because it gives you an extra point doesn't mean it actually gives you more tankiness against certain moves. And it's weird how LC works that way, but I would always just check the calc to see where these 76 points can gain the most value. And another point to be made up is Smogon's page on Staryu. Really great source for going to places where you can find builds of really strong builds for Staryu. You just hit the export, you hit the import, for example, boom. Here we have a really strong 4 attack Staryu set Max speed, obviously, max special attack, and then the 76 is slotted into defense. And you can read all about why things have been invested in the way they have. So yeah, for attacks, Analytic boosted. If the Pokemon goes secondary in a turn, you get a 30% power boost on top of just having really strong attacks. And yeah, you can see Hydro Pump stab 30%, and then max special attack hits really strong, and then you're going first a lot of the time. So so Analytic isn't going to proc that often, but once it does, then you're going to get that attack boost. And it also works on when the opponent switches out. So Staryu can really punish, can really revenge really greatly, because it can just come in and just do what it wants to. This 19 HP right here, as I've heard from Trogaholic, shoutouts to you, Trog, is that you can run Life Orb on this, as you probably saw on this page as well. You can run Life Orb on it, and the reason is it's a really great Life Orb attacker just because it does more damage, and it's just basically going to guarantee you some one-hit kills, one-hit KOs. But the other factor is that you have 19 HP, which means that there's some math here. I'm not really a math expert, so you'll have to excuse me. But the gist of it is, you lose 1/10 of your max HP. When you have 19 HP, you only lose 1 HP from Life Orb per turn it activates. Instead of, like, if you have anything above it, it does 2 or more. So probably just 2. But yeah, so you kind of skimp out on spending your health just for Life Orb damage. So that's really great, really great. And then you have the amazing move pool. You have Flip Turn, which is already super fast. You have Stab move that it got this generation that makes it swap out. So it's kind of like a water type U-turn. And if you're scared of facing water absorbs, that's going to punish your water stab attacks. Then you can also use Teleport, which is like, it has negative priority, which means it almost always goes last. But the thing is that you can kind of use it like to scout out what your opponent is going to do, because Staryu is pretty tanky, but that's more like, especially with the Eviolite set, that's probably going to happen if you're running Teleport. You do have that option at least. And then it also has Recover. It has Recover for Great Sustain. It also gets Recycle if you want to use Berry Juice on it, because Draft is 2-item limit slot, which means that if you already used your Eviolites on someone else, I don't know why you would use Eviolites on someone else when you have Staryu. But you can do that. You can run Recycle Berry Juice if you want to play it like that. It's just a lot of options. The more options, the better. And Staryu has tons of them. Great coverage in Rock. Signal Beam got removed, so ignore that. Thunderbolt, which is really strong for a water type to have electric coverage naturally. Ice Beam, Dazzling Gleam for dragons, and yeah, and dark types is really nice. And then it also has Flash Cannon for fairies, believe it or not. It can do a lot of stuff. It can set up light screen, reflect. It can use reflect type, which is really, it's like tech that you can bring to a match. If you are afraid of your Staryu getting predictable, then you can change it up with bring a reflect type to some matchups to change around its typing, gain stab effects, gain your resistances, and just play your opponent like that. Also gets Thunder Wave, so it can also be like a more supportive kind of. It can go Rapid Spin to remove hazards and gain even more speed, so it can catch up to those Choice Scarfers that's 19 or 20, and then you can, yeah, or even below 19. Anything that outspeeds neutral 19 with Choice Scarf, you can now outspeed after a Rapid Spin, and you have the option of selecting your moves. So you don't have to lock into your moves like Choice Scarf does. You can actually just click Recover if you want to get some HP back. You can gain even more speed and continue to remove hazards, or you can just hit hard for stab, or you can coverage. Really strong mon overall, and definitely someone you should have in mind as you draft. It is going to be pointed pretty highly. It also has Cosmic Power, raises both defenses, so you can play along with that as well. Toxic is not that great in LC, so I wouldn't recommend using Toxic that much, just for like the really stally matchups where you're going to see like once in every 10 blue moons, right? Something like that. But yeah, you can trap people with Whirlpool. Yeah, you can set up the Rain. Mimic, you can Icy Wind if you want to lower something's speed as like a last resort kind of thing. You can do Endure Berry Juice, Recycle kind of shenanigans with just Scald. Scald is also really great for getting things burn. Magic Code if you don't want to get hazard stacked and you don't want to rely on rapid spin, for example, for whatever reason. You also have Curse if you don't mind you losing speed that much and stuff like that. So it's just an overall really great mon that you should definitely take a look at. It definitely has other options as well. You can choice spec set for even more damage, just like a nuke with the Analytic. So to whatever comes in pretty much dies if it doesn't resist, something like that. You can also, aforementioned, go Scar for speed, Eviolite really solidly. If you've used your Eviolite, you can go Berry Juice. So tons of stuff that you can play around with, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, you can't run like Air Balloon, Staryu, for example. That's what draft is all about. It's like try to find the correct item, the correct ability, the correct 4 moves, the correct spread for the certain matchups to catch your opponent off guard. Trying to be creative with it, trying to not do the run of the mill every time. But at the same time, when it's top tier mons we're talking about, like Staryu, run of the mill is just you can't go wrong with that a lot. Just like if you some weeks have Ice Beam and some weeks have Dazzling Gleam or something, then just for coverage, then run of the mill is gonna get you far anyway. And if you don't want to run Analytic, it also has a great other ability. It can be a status absorber. If things are trying to status you out, you can swap into this to tank it, and then you can kind of swap out, and then it gets removed automatically. And it's going to come in and out a lot with the Eviolite and the recover. It's going to come in, tank status or tank a hit, recover off, trying to remove the hazards that you've set up and trying to gain back momentum. It's kind of momentum absorber like that because it's pretty tanky and it hits hard. So great mon overall. I 100% think that you should look at Staryu the next time you're drafting. That's it for this spotlight. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about Staryu or anything else in this about the series in general, then feel free to let me know and let me know what you thought about this video concept. Would love to hear some feedback for you. It's short, it's sweet, I know that, but try to, post a little more regularly, and that's going to happen if I can do shorter videos. So as you can see on the, it only has 2 weaknesses as well, which is really nice, but yeah, it's really strong. It's really strong. Water hits very good offensively, and it can also function as a very good defensive typing. So it can do a lot of both. Without further ado, though, or with nothing left to be said about Staryu, tons of things that are left to be said about Staryu, but trying to keep it short and sweet. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Leave in the comments down below which Pokemon you think should be in the next Pokemon Spotlight. I will primarily focus on LC, but you'll see where you go with that. Peace.